everybody, my name is Jessica Hitt, and this is Reviews That Don't Matter with Jessica Hitt. On today's episode, we are doing Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Revenge of the Sith is not a bad movie. Honestly, I did not hate the movie. I think it's a million times better than Attack of the Clones, and I think it's decently on par with Phantom Menace. The movie actually really impressed me because I was expecting so little that I guess when I watched it, I enjoyed it much more than I really thought I would. I liked the Phantom Menace, I hated Attack of the Clones, and I liked Revenge of the Sith. I think it was a nice little ending. I thought it had a little bit of fan service and finally getting to see Anakin Skywalker become Darth Vader. I don't know if I necessarily agree with the through line of Anakin's story. I think it was a little choppy and a little bit rushed, which is weird because it was 3 movies that you got to build up to being Darth Vader and it really didn't work. And I think it's because in that first movie you started him as a little boy who showed no sign of evil in him whatsoever, and then got into the whiny phase where you saw a little bit of evil, and then all of a sudden you see all of this evil and he's pledging his oath to Palpatine, who also, how in the world did they not see that Palpatine was the bad guy? I've known it since the first movie. He's so suspicious. He was the one that convinced Padme to make the other guy resign so he could be the Chancellor or whatever it is, and it's just like, really? People are that surprised that Palpatine is the evil Sith Lord? I really did like the movie. I thought the beginning was really exciting, and then they kind of got into the weird politics of it all, which was interesting, and then they had that big climax at the end where, you know, the Jedis were being killed. I mean, you have this great sequence where Yoda is fighting Palpatine, and then you have Obi-Wan fighting Anakin, which was a great fight sequence, I thought. And I thought it was probably the best acting of Hayden Christensen, even though I didn't think it was all that great, but still, it actually made me somewhat believe in him as Darth Vader. But then at the end of it, when Obi-Wan actually wins the fight, he leaves Anakin Skywalker as Darth Vader burning to death. He should have chopped off his head. I mean, the number one thing is if you don't watch a character die, then they will not die. They will come back. So really, everything that happened in that original trilogy is all because Obi-Wan Kenobi did not finish off Anakin Skywalker. I mean, it's all your fault, Ben Kenobi. All your fault. And then you get the Padme of it all, who in the first 2 movies, on paper, is a great character, but then in this 3rd movie, she just ends up being this, like, non-entity who's only there to service Anakin Skywalker and his love for her, and to have these babies so that they can go on and be Luke and Leia. You took out all of the good of the character, which wasn't much, and made her into this stereotypical female character in a movie like this. I mean, not even that I liked the character of Padme, because Natalie Portman did no justice to it. I liked the thought of the character until this 3rd one, which they completely ruined any thought of the character being awesome. Obi-Wan was still pretty awesome though. I mean, besides the whole not killing Anakin Skywalker at the very end of it and letting him kind of die on his own was a bad choice. Real bad choice. But really, this entire movie is about bad choices happening. Honestly, I think that if the Jedi Council would have trusted Anakin Skywalker more, then they could have led him to the light side more than being in the middle where he was and then turn over to the dark side. They needed to have Obi-Wan always with Anakin, to be that person to where he can calm him down and he can remember that they are such good friends, as opposed to splitting them up and leaving him behind and not trusting him, not telling him these things, to where Palpatine can get into his little dumb mind and brainwash him and tell him all of these things. But really, Anakin's just a dumbass. I mean, seriously? You believe freaking Palpatine, who's like the creepiest person to ever be on cinema? You know, I think my expectations were so low that when I watched the first and then the 3rd one, I got excited because they weren't as bad, but then when I watched the 2nd one, I'm like, well, maybe this will be as good as the Phantom Menace. And the expectations were a little bit higher and the movie crashed. I mean, I can see why a lot of people don't like these movies because they grew up with the original trilogy and then all of a sudden they have to sit through 6-ish hours of these movies and try to find things that they like when they can't. And I can also see the generation that this was the first Star Wars they've seen. It got them into it, and therefore they really like the prequels. You know, they're defenders of it. There are some good things to come out of it. I do think it's funny though how Jar Jar Binks was barely in the second and third one. I mean, they must have listened to the outcry of people who hated Jar Jar Binks in The Phantom Menace. He was a little bit less in Attack of the Clones, and then literally almost nowhere in sight besides like 2 glimpses of him in the entirety of Revenge of the Sith, which was great. I think that's maybe why I liked it also a little bit more than Phantom Menace. Overall, good movie. And now I'm excited because I just have The Force Awakens and then I can go see Rogue One. And I am so stoked for Rogue One. Because it's technically a prequel, but it's like not really the prequels. And I've heard such amazing things and I'm just so excited. Okay everybody, that was my review of Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith. If you like it, give me a thumbs up, comment down below, tell me why you didn't like it or why you did like it. Disagree with me, I don't care. Also subscribe if you haven't already. I'm gonna be doing a lot of reviews, especially ones that don't matter, so stick with me and we'll see how this goes. Okay, bye.